everybody is Other Conversations with. With me is my good friend Richard Morchoe, and we're sort of doing a special edition. And I think probably by now you've heard all that's going to be ever said about the debate the other night. But then I thought, well, maybe Richard and I might have some views that you might enjoy listening to. What did you think about the debate? Well, it wasn't a debate, it was a discussion, but they're not real debates.
Well, see, I was a high school debater, and the structure was, when the affirmative spoke, then the negative spoke, but between that they would question each other in a civil way, and then they would have a rebuttal after that. It was structured. This was like an orgy.
Oh.
And not a pleasant one either.
No, it was.
I've never been to an orgy.
Well, but I mean, the thing that I was really taken aback by, was because I was sitting back and saying, "Oh boy, this will be a great discussion," because they're not real debates, as you indicated. I said, "Boy, this is going to be a good discussion," and it was never a discussion, and it just got, crazier and crazier as it went along. And I kept thinking, I'm just going to go to bed. This is foolish. But then I got mesmerized by watching it. I said, whoa, where were they going? And I was just very disappointed in the whole thing, because I really anticipated a very vibrant, exciting discussion between the two candidates for President of the United States. At the end of the night, I went to bed, got into bed, and I laid there for a while, and I said, wow, is this the best we got? Is this the best we can come up with? And I just finally fell asleep, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning, because I just kept thinking about it and thinking about it. And I can go all the way back to the Kennedy-Nixon debate, when poor Richard didn't put makeup on or whatever, and looked like he was death warmed up.
He didn't shave 2 minutes before.
Well, whatever.
He was a five.
And I'm sure Kennedy had a makeup guy, you know. Kennedy had a makeup guy, and
he had Dr. Feelgood.
Whatever, fixing his back or whatever it was. Yeah. But the point is, and I remember the Reagan one, when
there you go again.
There you go again. And I think the greatest line of all was, of course, Mondale couldn't wait to talk about his age, and he says, I won't bring up.
Well, there was Lloyd Benson, too.
Oh,
what he said to
Jan
Quayle.
Know
Jack Kennedy.
And you all know Jack Kennedy.
That was boom, I mean.
Oh, yeah, Quayle come out. Well, Jack Kennedy, he says, look, I know Jack Kennedy, and you all know Jack Kennedy. But I mean, there was some great.
That was uncalled for, and that was vicious. That was low, and it was brilliant.
Oh yeah. Well, what about what one of them? Didn't one of them say, "Where's the beef"?
Mondale said that was a commercial.
Yeah.
Where's the beef?
Yeah.
And Mondale was calling out one of his, not Reagan, but one of his Democratic opponents.
Yeah. Where's the beef?
Where's the beef? And
over the years, there was some great lines,
There were no great lines last night.
Oh, no. It was just, I was extremely disappointed. And although the one thing that I thought was positive, if anything could be positive, is I think there was maybe 4 times that Biden turned, looked at the camera, and said, this is about you, and I want to talk to you. And I thought, at least he made an attempt to reach out to an audience.
That wasn't bad. He said, the American people should decide. It's ragtime, of course, because American people don't decide anything.
No, they don't. We're told what to do.
But it was all he could do, because he said, Trump is saying, who would you choose? Who would you choose? He's trying to get away from that.
Yeah.
Well, you should wait till after the election. And he, so he had, that wasn't bad, which makes me think he was on some kind of drug.
Well, I think so. No, don't say that.
Oh, come on. The guy's been pitiful all year.
Don't say he was on drugs. I mean, give me a break.
I think they gave him something. I don't know. Maybe they gave him, they gave him a rest or something.
I thought he was a lot better than I thought he was going to be.
And that was the big thing. I said it. I emailed him and I said, if he just comes across even,
Yeah.
he wins.
He wins.
And I don't know if he won, because I thought your man Trump got a few points pointing out Hunter's absolute dishonesty. And where could Hunter have got any of that stuff?
Oh,
yeah.
no
And
well, I think Biden's had an answer, though. He says, let's not bring our families up. Because I think he could have done a war dance on some of the things that Trump has done with his
that's
family.
like saying if Don Vito was testifying
No.
about Sonny killing somebody, oh, don't bring the family into this. Come on.
He could have said, he could have said, and how about to avoid taxes, paying your daughter $700,000 to be a consultant for a company she works for?
Fair enough. Fair
Okay.
enough, but he didn't have the brains to do it.
No, he said, I don't want to bring the families into it, is what
No,
he said.
he should have been, because Biden's family is criminally culpable in this. And that's wrong.
Criminally, well,
Culpable, yes.
I don't,
Oh,
with
okay.
Hunter,
I'm
I
not
don't
gonna say
think.
criminally.
I
I
think
say corrupt in the corruption.
corruption.
They are very culpable. It was.
Never in 100 years should the Vice President of the United States allowed his son to get involved in a foreign government's board of directors or a oil company's board of directors of a foreign country. No question about it. It was not a smart
fair
move.
game. It's fair game.
Not a smart. Oh, I had no problem with Trump bringing that up.
So it's family.
I had no problem. But all I'm saying is what Biden then said when he did, let's not bring our families into this. The only family I'm concerned about, and that's when he looked at the camera
And that was the right
and
thing
said,
to do.
your family.
That's the right thing to do.
Oh, and he did.
I'm going to say, on expectations, Biden won.
Well, 48 to 41 supposedly on the polls said
yeah.
Biden won, and 41%
None of the
said
polls.
Trump won.
There's only one poll worth.
And that's coming on November
that's coming.
7th or 8th.
We'll know who won the election in June.
Yeah, no, it won't be June. Won't be June. It'll be 7th or 8th. I mean, one of the things that I think it was Billy Gavin, and I know Billy, he's the Secretary of State. And we had a rule here for years that if it's not postmarked by the date of the vote, you can't count it.
Yeah.
Okay? So if it's not postmarked by November 3rd, and it comes in and it's postmarked November 4th, they don't even open it.
Yeah.
Okay? Not now. This year, it's going to be November 6th. Okay? He's on TV yesterday, and I almost called him and said, Billy, what are you thinking about? November 3rd, it's over. You know? I can't go on November 6th and vote. What do you think the town clerk can say to me? Oh, Dick, it was Tuesday, you missed it.
Yeah, okay. Everybody is saying, I'm going to go on a limb here and say something. I think there's going to be some, maybe not a lot. It doesn't matter in Massachusetts. Skullduggery from the Democrats in this election. Now, why do I say that? First of all, our vote in Massachusetts doesn't matter because Biden's going to win. That's just it.
Oh, no question about it.
So our vote is irrelevant. So they don't have to steal anything in Massachusetts. But we know in Massachusetts, they steal votes. We know that.
Oh,
As a little boy, you remember the book, the last hurrah?
Richard, I grew up in Boston,
Yeah, so we know
Let me
that.
tell you, no, you know what they do? Let me tell you how they do it. They get the Globe, all right? They get it about 3 months out, and the only page they care about is the obit. And they tear out the obituary page, and they write down the guy's or gal's name and where she lives, or he lives.
Yeah.
And then they have a group of people, and they have 7 hats and 4 overcoats. And they go in and they vote for Mary Lou Smith, who died 4 days ago or 6 days ago or a month ago, because the board of registrars doesn't check the obit page, and they don't update daily the registration. So if there's 100 dead people, there's 100 votes. How do you think Curly won for years?
Well, did you ever read the last hurrah?
Yes.
The famous Footsie McKenty. They call him Footsie because he ran around and voted everywhere.
Yeah.
And we all know.
I told you, he had 7 hats and 4 overcoats.
We all know that happens in Boston and Massachusetts
Sure.
politics. I grew up. We moved out from Boston to a suburb, a nice leafy suburb, and they were doing it out there. They were stealing the votes. In a Yankee, well, it was trending out as being a Yankee, but it was a Yankee town.
Yeah.
And it happens in Massachusetts. You don't think it's going to happen?
Well, there are still people alive who think that the Kennedy Committee went out to Chicago and taught them how to do it.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. But I don't think you don't need Chicago, didn't need Massachusetts.
Well, no, but that's another state.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Well, you know what Harold Washington, the late mayor of Chicago, said? He said, I want to die. I want to be buried in this town because I want to continue voting.
That's right.
I mean, great.
No,
so this happens in this country for people to piously say, there's no report of this going on, a lot of this going on. Let's laugh. Who are you kidding?
Yeah.
I mean, this makes me feel 1984
like
I
said, when I heard the Secretary of State say, as long as the postmark is by the 4th or 5th or 6th, they'll be able to count those. No, they can't. You know what I
Well,
mean?
you know how there was a place that this blew up in the Democrats' face, and there was a district in California had a special election, and they said we'll get it because we'll get all the write-in votes. Actually, the Republicans organized themselves better and wrote in.
Yeah.
And won this guy, I think his name was Pedro Garcia.
Yeah.
He is Hispanic Republican.
Yeah.
And he won. He's
Yeah.
now a congressman
Yeah.
because the Democrats thought they had it in the bag.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're going to play these games, you got to get at least somebody who can seal an envelope.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the one that made me laugh was we've thrown out 17,000 ballots in Massachusetts from the primary because they weren't signed, and you have to sign your name.
Yeah.
They weren't signed. They got delivered 3 days after the polls closed, and that was for the primary they couldn't count them. So, I mean, I'm getting mine. When I get my ballot, it can be mailed to me. I live in Charlton. I get Jen will vote and I'll vote. I'm taking the 2 ballots. I'm getting in my car. I'm driving to the town hall, and I'm going to hand them to the town clerk because I'm not going to mail them because I don't trust the mail.
I don't try.
I have a situation where I've sent things to people, and it takes 5 and 6 days to get to them. Even when I pay my bills, I have to back it out. If it's due on the 4th, I go 4, 3, 2, 1, 30, 29, 28. And I mail it the 28th of the month ahead, so they'll get it by at least the 3rd. Because if you don't, and it's a credit card, they nail you for coming in late. And it takes 6 or 7 days.
Well, I do most of that now online.
Well, see,
just because I don't want to deal with
the reason I don't do it online is because I don't trust online.
I don't either, but I don't either.
Because I already have. I have to pay my taxes by a PIN number. Because 5 years ago, we file by automatic.
Yeah.
And my tax person filed it, and she calls me back up. She said, IRS kicked it back. Said you already filed. Here's the number you got to call. So I call them up. They held everything up. They traced it down to an empty lot in Miami, Florida. That was the address. The good news was they hadn't mailed the check to the guy.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that really bothered me. My Social Security number is Richard H. Vaughn. Got it when I was 18 years old. Richard H. Vaughn. Okay? I sign everything Dick Vaughn. All my checks are Dick Vaughn. The guy filed as Dick Vaughn. So he must have got it online.
Yeah.
And the IRS were going to pay him. I called them up. I said, hold it. Dick Vaughn doesn't match the Social Security number. If you had checked, well, why would we check that? Why? I said, he put my Social Security number, he had it right, but he had Dick Vaughn. If you ran that Social Security number, it wouldn't have come back Dick Vaughn. Yeah. Oh, we don't bother with that. Oh.
Well, that's why you're so stupid.
So Mr. Vaughn, we're going to give you a PIN. So every year, I get a PIN number, and it changes every year.
Yeah, I do too.
And I have to file by PIN number.
I've never been scammed, but I have a PIN number too.
Yeah. And it's so computers, my brother was a computer expert. He worked for NASA. And he told me, don't do anything. If you don't want anybody else to know, don't do it on a computer. But anyway, You know, I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. But getting back to the debate or the discussion, I love to look at Facebook every once in a while, and I am amazed about the different people's views on that. And sometimes I scratch my head and said, I wonder if they were watching the same one I watched.
That is, well, yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a group of people, and one of the things I belong to is I love radio. It's a group thing. There's a bunch of old radio hacks, and a friend of mine talked me into going in. So I get that every day on Facebook, and I was looking at that, and there's a whole bunch of all old radio guys hammering Wallace, and I'm saying, you know, Chris Wallace is probably one of the better ones, you know. And I said, you know, they not so much that he favored Biden, but more to the point that he didn't control the event. Well, what could he do?
Well,
you know, I mean, I don't know. I'm sitting back saying, okay, put yourself in Chris Wallace's place for 10 seconds. You're sitting there. You got the President of the United States, and you got a former Vice President. You're sitting there, and you have no control. You can't shut their mic off. You know, you can't. You certainly get up and grab him by the throat and say, "Cut it out," which he said once. Look, you guys agreed to this. You know, please, please. And then one time, he asked the president to stop and let him finish the answer. And the president says, "Oh, I'm debating you now."
that was I agree partially with that. I do think that Wallace it came off, and maybe Trump would plan this that it looked like he was Biden. He was favoring Biden, but I'll say Biden. Proof of Biden is really getting old. When he did, please let me say.
He's 77,
yeah,
no question.
No, remember when he debated Brian, and I've mentioned this before, and he really had Ryan on the
floor.
On the floor. And that was impressive because you know I thought he was in cognitive decline then anyway. And he comes up, it's sort of like they pulled a different switch, and it was a different person.
Yeah.
Now, Biden should have said, you know, he should have when he was interrupted by Trump, he should have waited a second, let Trump say that, Mr. President, will you let me finish now?
Oh, I agree. Oh.
So Biden was not the same, and this is why
Biden's not innocent in this.
No, but I mean, Biden wasn't smart in that. You know, he wasn't thinking.
Well, I think every once in a while, he really tried to do it. When he say, "Look, folks, this is about you," and those 3 or 4 times when he tried to make a point to the camera, to the people. I'll tell you one thing. Trump did what he wanted to do. He played right to his people.
Yeah.
They thought that was fabulous.
I know. I don't know what they thought was. I'll tell you what I think they thought was fabulous. When he said, "I'm backed by all the law." Who backs you? Come on, say law enforcement. You don't even say it. And Biden looked nonplussed.
Yeah.
That was one for.
Oh, that was a good. But I'm saying, but the aggressiveness and the hammering.
I thought that was a turnoff, and I think a lot of people.
But the
But
people.
they'll say to you, but they were turned off.
But the people who love him, the people who think he's the greatest thing since the pop-up toaster, he played right into his core group.
Okay.
That's what they wanted him to do, to be a tough, rough, beat-up bully. And that's what he did.
I'm not sure that. I'm sure
No.
they preferred him. But, see, he has a core group. Biden, other than you, has no core group.
Oh, yes, he does.
I'm teasing.
Oh, yes, he does. But my point is,
He doesn't have a real core group.
all the old people over 77 love him.
The women love Trump.
Not really.
Uh,
We'll see what happens with that. I think he's.
I think he turned off women.
Oh, he turned them out right. I mean, I had a good friend of mine stopped at one of my VNA nurses came in Wednesday, and I never even thought she'd be political, to be real honest. She came in and she said, oh, did you watch that debate? Oh my God, that was, and she went on and on for 10 minutes, how upset she was. And she said, you know, how anybody can like that guy.
Had she been a Trump supporter before?
That I don't know.
Right, so-
That I can't, because I never thought she would be political. You know, she's just a good friend. Lives in Sturbridge, but surprised me that she stayed up and watched the whole thing. You know, so I'm saying, wow, how many, you know, people like that are there? You know, maybe this is going to help Biden after all.
I think with women it did. I think, you know, I think Trump a little sensed he had that what's his name was not on his not neutral, and so that's why he did that. Or another
wait
thing.
a minute. When they opened the debate, Trump had the first question, he finished. Biden had the question, and the minute Biden started to talk, Trump started to talk.
That's
so
true.
that had nothing to do with him being a favorite. At that point,
You're right.
you know, at that point, Trump came out hammering.
That's
you know,
his style.
You know, yeah. Oh, he did. And I watched ABC, and they had Chris Christie on, and he advised Trump, and they asked him, the first thing Stephanopoulos asked him, was that what you guys told him to do? And Chris goes, no, as a matter of fact, I think he came on a lot, way too hot. He was way too hot. That's not what we told him to do, you know. But which proves once again that Trump does what Trump wants to do.
That's true. And you know what I'm going to say about Trump is that I think there's a little cognitive decline there. I think it's not as bad as Biden's cognitive decline on most days, but I think they're, you know, like they say, you become your father. And if your father has really some bad traits,
Yeah.
as you get older, you know, if your father was a mean SOB, you're going to become a mean SOB. If your father was a kind and gentle person, you'll become a kind and gentle person. And I think Trump is just coming into, like his father was, I guess, kind of an SOB.
Yeah.
And he's coming into that, and he can't stop, he can't reflect. And
No.
Other than you and I, as you get older, there's not that much
No.
reflection.
No, but I mean, you talk about my father. My father had a ton of hair. Right?
Yeah, I noticed that, and I'm
My
really
father had
mad about you and you too,
My
Dick,
father
and I'm
had
not happy about
My
that.
father had a ton of hair, you know.
Yes, I would.
and so did my mother. So I got that. I got that. I looked like my father, you know, as I got older, and I guess that's part of the game. My dad was in both World Wars. Was a tough guy, you know, tough in the words of disciplined officer in the Navy. You know what I'm saying? And he was, you know, and he had a great philosophy. There's only one way to do things, and that's the right way. You know, he said, you never try to take out a flathead screw with a Phillips screwdriver. It won't work, and you'll wreck your knuckles. But I mean, and he said, you know, you gotta have the right tools to do the right job, and he couldn't. He had a very difficult time with incompetence. You know, if somebody was incompetent or didn't do something right, he would. And even as kids growing up, you know, he used to. He had a little magneto, those little things that turn.
Yeah.
We were little kids. He would make us take one side each and crank it. And the reason he did back in those days, if the fuse blew, my father would take a penny, pop it right in there until he could get a fuse, you know. And he taught us we could take 110 because every electrician can take it.
Yeah.
You know, because they get you every once in a while. They move quick. Oh, nice thing, and it doesn't even feel it. You know. Well, that's how he started with one crank. Then we'd get two cranks. You know. And as you got older, he could really give it to you, and he would do that meaningfully. He wanted you to be able to and he taught us how to. I can wire a house.
So this is why I can't shock you.
Well, it doesn't. Nothing shocks me, but the point is, I just think it was a sad commentary.
Yes, and I think TV Charlton, Long Hill, everybody, we have to offer the nation we will held a debate between Trump and Biden right here, and we'll make the rules. Trust us, America.
Well, what would you, let me ask you, that's a good point. What would you, because they're all talking about changes for the next one. What are you going to change?
Here's what I'd do. I would modify high school debate rules. I would say, well, okay, here are the questions, and we'll give first time we'll give one person 3 minutes to answer this question, or 2 minutes. 2 minutes is enough. The other person 2 minutes to rebut. Then you get each ask. You ask the question of the person who made the statement. They answer. Then you both get a minute to rebut.
Yeah.
And we'll do that with each subject.
Well,
that's my proposition.
But they also, in my opinion, is they need to have somebody needs to control those microphones. Or remember the TV show where they used to be in a booth?
Yeah.
People put them each in a booth.
No, no. You and I will each get a baseball bat.
Well, yeah, that's it.
Anybody speaks out of turn, boom, and that's it.
Well, that might be a bad idea. You know what to do? We can wire it. So if they speak out of turn, they get a shock.
Yeah. Well, you're the guy who can wire people.
Well, I would tell you
Come
the story.
on, this is what a fortuitous.
Did you ever tell you a story about remember the old garbage buckets with you step on the thing and put them out? And the man came once a week and picked them up. Well, we had one of those.
We did too.
And we had a big cat in the neighborhood. And every time when the thing would be just about full for the garbage man, the cat would go in and he'd sit down, so he'd lift up the thing. And he'd put his paw in and he'd scoop out some garbage. And there'd be a mess.
Smart cat.
And my father was furious. My father gets a wire, and he runs it out to the pail. And he put one side on the top and the other side on the bottom. And he ran it in, and he plugged it to the back porch light. And he got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and he waited for the cat. And when the cat came, he saw him on the bucket, and he took the light on. And my father said the cat went, whoa, and went right up over the garage. And the cat never came back.
Well, you know what they say about a cat? Cat's an experience. If a cat, Mark Twain, I think, said this, sits on a hot stove on one part of it, not only will he not sit on that part again, he won't ever go near a stove.
No.
So, but I want the MSPCA to know that it was the Vaughn family
who did that to the cat. But the point I'm making is that really, I mean, I'm almost torn whether they just should cancel, not have another one.
Well, see, we got to do it here. Come on, we need them. They need to expose themselves. They need to,
but remember, Joe's getting older.
No.
He's going to be another 2 weeks old.
No, now I need a pacemaker.
No, Joe's getting a little older. You know, what do you think he's going to be by the third debate? You know.
Well, we all know we're voting for either Trump or Kamala Harris.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't, that doesn't. But again, I reiterate, the only sane position is not to vote at all.
Yeah, but you got to vote.
No,
See,
no.
You got to vote.
No, you know, if
you could write in Morchoe.
I'm writing in Tulsi Gabbard. And in fact, I want to start the draft Tulsi movement right here.
Right in Tulsi.
And you know, what was horrible about the debate in the American, the American foreign policy and the American press.
Yeah.
In that debate, the only discussion of foreign policy was Hunter Biden's theft. That was as close as we came. And there's a big war. I don't know if you've heard about the Azerbaijan.
Oh, yeah.
The press has said nothing. And this is a big war.
I saw it, it's in there. I saw it today on Google News.
On Google, finally.
Google
this has been
News.
going on over a week. And finally it's on Google News.
Yeah.
And what are they saying? Are they saying anything intelligent about it?
Oh, just as a little skirmish.
Yeah. I mean, this is not a serious press. This is not a serious country.
Well, I think one of the problems the press really has is I think they're consumed with Trump. Consumed. And that they'll do anything to get any information that can hurt them.
But this is why they're foolish. Because he's their biggest, without them, who'd watch the news?
Nobody. He's the first story every night.
I mean, so they're going to ruin it because Biden you know, what do you want to see?
Joe
him babble?
had a little train ride yesterday
Yeah.
to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You know.
Nobody's going to let him out.
Well, that's it. Well, Richard, we've come to the end, but thank you very much. It was great to have you stop by.
That was wonderful.
And talk about Dandy Don.
Yeah, and slow. What do they call it?
Sleepy Joe.
Sleepy Joe, whatever they call it.
Dandy Don and Sleepy
And
Joe.
remember, we're available for a debate.
Okay.